Back in 2022, I made a video on a Ninja Warrior Iceberg which covered topics from A&W, Sasuke, and other international courses. Today, I bring you the American Ninja Warrior Iceberg, which just covers topics about A&W.
Here is the full iceberg. If you don't know what an iceberg chart is, as you get deeper down, the entries get more obscure and darker. With that out of the way, let's get into the A&W iceberg.
Sasuke. Sasuke is the show that started it all, and it's been airing tournaments in Japan since 1997 and currently has aired 41 tournaments, which sounds absolutely ridiculous to a casual ninja fan. And only 4 people have achieved total victory throughout the last over 25 years, and they are Kazuhiko Akiyama, Makoto Nagano, Yuji Urushihara twice, and Yusuke Morimoto twice.
American Ninja Challenge. Some might call this the original version of American Ninja Warrior, but American Ninja Challenge was basically the trials round to send American competitors to Japan to compete on Sasuke. Some of the competitors from these trials would end up competing in A&W, like Levi Muhlenberg, Brian Orozco, and Brett Sims. Video game. In 2019, a game was made for A&W called American Ninja Warrior Challenge. It is very low quality. Yeah, it sucks. It has so many bugs. I couldn't even attempt the course the last time I played it. It just gave me a blue screen with the timer and my name on it. Dang, that game sucks. Akbarisms. Akbar Gabaja is one of the hosts of A&W, and he has a lot of sayings dubbed as Akbarisms by the fans of the show. Big time, prime time, and I see you are some of those sayings. And he has a lot more. SNL skit. Saturday Night Live made a skit of A&W where a competitor known as Captain Tornado took on the course 3 times and had some hilarious fails on the quintuple steps. Palm Wonderful. Palm Wonderful was one of the first sponsors of A&W. In Season 7, they started sponsoring it, and the Palm Wonderful Run of the Night was introduced. Some bad decisions were made for them, so I don't know most of them, but I saw some of them and they're kind of bad, so yeah, that's weird. Sponsored obstacles. Movies have sponsored A&W, actually 5 or 6 of them, and yeah, they have their own obstacles, and they include the Ninjago Roll, which is the picture, Angry Birds, which no one could be in the Baltimore Finals of Season 11, and Fallout. Now let's move on to Tier 2 of the iceberg. Stage 3 Curse. A&W 11 had 21 competitors reach Stage 3. Most of them would compete in Season 13. The curse factor was that none of those who competed again would return to Stage 3. However, some of those competitors would end up returning to Stage 3 in the later seasons. USA vs. Japan. Most of you watching probably know the USA vs. the World specials that A&W does after every season, up until A&W 12. After Season 5, A&W did their first special, which was USA vs. Japan, without any other teams. Europe would later be added the very next season. Nathaniel Spencer. In Season 4, Nathaniel Spencer was the first competitor to complete Stage 1 in the Vegas Finals. However, he cleared with 0 seconds left, and nobody has replicated this in A&W since, or has came close. Make-A-Wish. There's a video on YouTube of a kid named Dylan commentating an ATS member running Stage 2. The ATS guy failed on roulette row. The commentary was alright. I mean, it looked like they were reading from a script. Cancelled A&W 12 regionals. This is pretty obvious. A&W Season 12 was supposed to have regionals, but they were cancelled because of the virus. Now let's move on to the third tier of the iceberg.
Couples Championship. This episode was the final episode of Season 15 of A&W. However, a lot of people in the community thought that this episode would never air since it was filmed during A&W 14 and was on the semifinals lot. However, it did end up airing in Season 15 and didn't end up becoming lost media like many people thought it would.
Brent Stephenson Stage 2. In A&W 4, Brent Stephenson was the only competitor to complete Stage 2. He did it with supposedly 0.03 seconds left, but it's unknown if he even finished at all because he could have timed out. I personally think that he probably timed out because A&W wanted someone in Stage 3. The next best run was a fail on middle spin. Swapped episode orders. In multiple seasons, qualifiers have been filmed before others, but aired after them. For example, in A&W 8, Atlanta was filmed before LA, but LA aired before Atlanta. In A&W 11, Baltimore was filmed before Tacoma, but they were swapped as well. John Brown Rolling Log. If you haven't seen the clip, well, now you've just seen it. This was one of the craziest moments in A&W history. In A&W 7 on the rolling log, John Brown skipped it entirely and dove to the dismount. However, he failed the very next obstacle. This is probably one of the greatest tricks in A&W history, as I said, and it probably led to the rolling log not really being seen again. Now let's move on to the fourth tier of the American Ninja Warrior Iceberg. Celebration retakes. This entry is kind of a short one, but here's a quick behind the scenes fact. Just to make the celebrations look better, producers will call for retakes for when the competitors clear. Classic reality TV. Also, if my voice sounds different, it's been months since the last time I've worked on this, so it's obviously gotten a lot deeper. So yeah, Kids R Us. Kids R Us is a defunct store that was once part of Toys R Us, but in Season 1 of American Ninja Warrior, the qualifiers and semifinals were filmed in the parking lot of Kids R Us in LA. And that's all there is to say for this. Najee Richardson, A&W 10 Stage 2. This is the first entry that we're going to go over, which just shows how bad A&W is as a show. So basically, Season 10 Stage 2 was a little better than Season 15, but still terrible. We'll touch on all that later, but one of the reasons that it was so bad was because of the water walls. Najee Richardson was one of the competitors who failed the water walls because he had an asthma attack during it, like, geez. But since they wanted more clears, since production wanted more clears, they called him back over to the water walls to redo 3 times, but he never came back, so they let us fail in the show. Absolute bullcrap. Non-winner cash prizes, and this is one of the better entries for the Iceberg. It's a behind-the-scenes fact that not many people know about. I didn't even know it when I was researching for the Iceberg, but in the qualifying rounds, there are cash prizes for the winners, like the fastest times. First place gets $3,000, second place gets $2,000, and third place gets $1,000. Awesome! Bart Copeland Rolling Log. This is pretty similar to the John Brown entry we had in the last tier, but Bart Copeland also competed in the A&W 7 Miami qualifiers, and he also got to the rolling log. And if you can see in the clip, he's doing it balance tank style, and he cleared the obstacle. And yeah, that's awesome. How did he do that? I don't even know how he did it, but yeah, he also, like John Brown, he also failed the next obstacle. Jeez, that mic quality was terrible, but yeah, now we're moving on to Tier 5 of the Iceberg. If you made it this far, make sure to subscribe, because that means you're enjoying the video. Good for you. Brian Arnold, quote-unquote, quitting his job. In A&W 9, Brian Arnold said that if he fails, he will quit his job. That was a lie. Of course it was a lie. Yeah, it was just for TV. Just a lie. Don't worry. A&W 5 cliffhanger malfunction. Again, this has to do with Brian Arnold. During his original Stage 3 run in A&W 5, he failed the ultimate cliffhanger due to one of the ledges falling off. Great obstacle design, guys. Of course he got a redo, and as you all may know, he got to the flying bar and failed, which was, at the time, the best result in A&W history. Disc Runner Origin. This obstacle was from A&W 8, and it originated from a Swedish playground toy. Interesting. Stealing ideas. Fake Streaker. Some prank YouTubers got on the set of A&W and decided their prank would be fake streaking on the course. And the guy that ran the course was not naked. He did have clothes on. But I'm still blurring the image, so YouTube doesn't take all my life savings. But that was a pretty funny prank, actually. Dan Polizzi Cane Lane. Dan Polizzi reached the Cane Lane in A&W 10 Indianapolis semifinals, and he failed it because the track broke, and they gave him a redo. And yeah, he ended up clearing the obstacle. They had to fix the track during their break time, during the production's break time. And that's it for Tier 5. Wow, how are we already this far? We only have 3 tiers left. But yeah, up next, the entries are getting a little darker. It's Tier 6 up next.
April Steiner Bennett in A&W 10. April Steiner Bennett competed in the Dallas qualifiers in A&W 10, but she injured her leg pretty badly on the tuning forks, which was the 4th obstacle. She was supposed to make the women's top 5 due to making it to the tuning forks, but obviously she had to drop out due to her getting injured, which is very sad. And I don't think she competed on A&W again after that, but yeah, some of you will have to tell me in the comments. Elbow Swing. The elbow swing was an unused obstacle from A&W 10, which was replaced by the jumper cables. As you can see, it was sort of like a drum hopper from Sasuke, with a transition to the grab bag, and the video is going to play in a second. Here you go. That's cool. Wingnuts original design. The original design of the wingnuts sort of looked like a sideways spin hopper. It says grab bar with both hands simultaneously, which sounds like the spin hopper, and I'm glad the wingnuts look like how they do, because if they didn't, we would not have Wingnut Alley. So A&W 9 Stage 2 would be pretty easy, I think, if we didn't have the new wingnut design. Isaac Caldiero's tweets. Isaac Caldiero, after winning A&W 7, tweeted out that he was the one and only champion because he got the $1 million prize, even though Jeff Britton also completed Stage 4 in under 30 seconds, which is kind of dumb, because you'd think he'd have a little sympathy for Jeff, but not at all, showing because of this treat, he didn't have any sympathy for him. Bucking Bronco. Bucking Bronco was another unused obstacle, this time from A&W 9. It was replaced by the rolling pin and honestly looks like one of those mechanical bull rides for how it worked. And the video will play soon. As you can see, it's a very rough obstacle. Parkour Lachey. This is what people thought the 5th obstacle of Stage 3 in A&W 11 was going to be, but it was actually the transition to that platform on Pipe Dream, and was part of the Pipe Dream. So yeah, that's it for Tier 6, and you know what's crazy? It's been over a year now since I started working on this video. I started working on this video September 2023, and now it's September 2024 as of me recording right now. So pretty crazy that it's taken me this long. But yeah, up next, Tier 7. We're almost done with the iceberg. Thank you guys for watching so far. But yeah, Tier 7 is up next. Before we get into this tier, there are a lot of big long entries in this tier, so sit down, grab some popcorn, and listen in, because these get very interesting. Jarrah Boyd, A&W 15, Stage 3. In Stage 3 of A&W 15, Jarrah Boyd made it all the way to the final obstacle, road signs, where he sadly slipped off on the final sign. However, this fail was on purpose. Basically, Jarrah got disqualified on the road signs after clearing stage 3, but he did make an illegal move on the obstacle, which caused his disqualification, and then he had two choices. Either he could be fully cut from the broadcast, or he would rerun and purposefully fail the road signs and his run would still be aired. Jarrah took the second option, obviously, and that's what happened. Flip Rodriguez, another competitor who you may know, confirmed that this happened, and said that if that ever happened to him, he would never compete again and walk off the set. Another case of A&W robbing a potential champion. Ronald Washington power outage. In Ronald Washington's A&W 11 Atlanta qualifiers run, he made it to the Ferris wheels, which was the 5th obstacle. During his attempt, the power went out on set, which is ridiculous, and I have no clue how he did in that run, so you guys are going to have to tell me. I'm assuming he got a rerun, but I'm not sure if he cleared the Ferris wheels or not. This image shows he's on them. So yeah, you guys are going to have to tell me in the comments how he did. Final stage time limit change plus rope pull. The story starts in A&W 4, where American Ninja Warrior's finals were moved to Las Vegas, where they are today. The time limit for the final stage after some testing was set at 40 seconds. However, after Isaac Caldero and Jeff Britton cleared stage 3 in A&W 7, producers decided to change the time limit to 30 seconds. And this change did not sit well with ATS, who designed the American Ninja Warrior courses, if you didn't know. And they decided to literally pull on the competitors' harnesses while they were climbing the final stage rope to balance things out. Which I'm not sure why they would do this, but the producers, who you would think wouldn't like this, did like this for some reason, and they decided to do it again for A&W 11, for Drew's final stage attempt, not for Daniel Gill, and in A&W 13 for Caden Lebsack's attempt. In A&W 14 and onwards, no one was pulled because of how many people reached stage 4, because they didn't want what happened to Jeff Britton, not winning but still winning, which did happen in A&W 16 with Caleb Bergstrom, but no one was pulled, thankfully. Boy, we sure do love A&W behind the scenes incidents, don't we? Andrew Lowe's A&W 5. Make sure you have your popcorn ready and sit down, because this one's a big, juicy entry. Get ready for this one. Here we go. Andrew Lowe's made it to Vegas in A&W Season 5, where he was able to make it all the way to the final obstacle, the final climb, and supposedly timed out with 2 seconds left. Sadly. But this did not happen. Believe it or not, this did not happen, as later on, it was revealed on an Instagram thread that Andrew had actually cleared stage 1 with 4 seconds left, but the producers chose his run for a stupid dramatic moment and decided to eliminate him. Really? Are you kidding me? Well, I mean, this is classic A&W, but this is ridiculous. What baffles me, though, is that out of all the competitors who cleared stage 1, he was the one chosen for that dramatic moment, even though there were people who cleared slower than he did. Which, you would probably choose the person who cleared slower than him. I don't know why you would choose him. But he would go on to legitimately clear stage 1 in the next season. But still, he got absolutely effed over, like Najee did in A&W 10. But hey, A&W does this a lot. They did it with Najee, they did it with Jarrah, and they did it with Andrew. So yeah, A&W sucks. That's a true statement for me. And with that, the 7th tier is done. And boom, 20 minutes into the video, which is ridiculous. I don't know how I timed that right, but bam, I did it. And yeah, we're about to move into the final tier of the American Ninja Warrior Iceberg. Thank you so much if you're still watching. Again, thank you so much. And yeah, trust me when I say this, I saved the best entries for last, the juiciest, and the worst entries for what happened. So yeah, please enjoy the final tier of the American Ninja Warrior Iceberg. A&W 10, Stage 2. Get ready for this one because this is going to be the longest entry, probably of the iceberg. Yeah, well, it's the longest entry of the iceberg. Maybe. Let's go. A&W 10, Stage 2 was an absolute hot mess, and for two reasons. Number one, the course itself was way too hard. Producers definitely did not learn their lessons from seasons 8 and 9, with those stage 2s only having 2 and 3 clears. And they decided to keep Wingnut Alley from season 9, which is obviously a killer. I mean, like, it had over, I think, 24 fails in season 9, and they still kept it. They didn't buff it or anything, they just kept it as it is, which is ridiculous. And they also kept slow obstacles like the crisscross salmon ladder, which is the worst version of the salmon ladder in my opinion, not counting the extended salmon ladder from the next season, and the swing surfer, which, yeah, it's a slow obstacle. They also did add catch and release, which was easier than the skyhooks, so not much of a difference, but they also added Deja Vu, which in my opinion was a great obstacle, but it wasn't executed very well. But, of course, they also added the absolute sin, that is, the water walls. This leads us into the second reason for the messy Stage 2. Water walls and Deja Vu caused several reruns. When rewatching Drew Dressel's Stage 2 run, the crowd seemed very happy when he cleared, and that was because Drew was the only clear, as the 29th runner out of 30, not counting the reruns that happened after. The Water Walls had initially taken out Sean Bryan due to him being absolutely exhausted after that brutal second stage. And then there's Najee Richardson due to that aforementioned asthma attack, which we mentioned a couple tiers earlier. And we know now that he refused to get a rerun on Stage 2. And also, Deja Vu caused other reruns because 8 out of the first 10 runners failed the Deja Vu, which is ridiculous. And they also did reruns because they didn't just want one clear on Stage 2, because they had just introduced the new Last Ninja Standing rule, where the best non-winner would get $100,000. So Sean Bryan is one of the many people that got a rerun, and he would clear Stage 2 on the rerun, joining Drew at Stage 3. This one big whole mess of a Stage 2 makes A&W 10 one of the worst seasons of A&W. Andres De La Rosa. Andres De La Rosa was a competitor who was able to clear Stage 1 in Season 5, failing on the metal spin on Stage 2. During Season 7, he decided to go in the audience and watch the Orlando qualifiers, which were at Universal Studios. And he was a part of the on-camera audience system. And this system basically rotates audience members out so others can watch the qualifying. Andres wanted to watch the whole qualifying and not just half of it, so he was probably mad that his time slot ran out and was forced to leave the set and the park entirely. However, he didn't want to play by those rules and decided to jump fences to re-enter the set and continue watching the qualifiers. And this was obviously against the rules, and De La Rosa was banned from Universal Studios and American Ninja Warrior entirely after this situation. Drew A&W 12. I'm not going to explain to you what Drew Dressel did. Many of you already watching know what he did. If not, go watch the Sasuke Nerds video on it. I'm going to give them a promo because they're my favorite Ninja Warrior YouTubers. So yeah, you got to go watch their video. It's a deep analysis on what happened with Drew Dressel if you don't know the situation already. So yeah. Anyways, Drew Dressel competed in ANW 12 and made it all the way to the finals, failing on the slam dunk, which was the 8th obstacle, and did not advance to the Power Tower Championship. And obviously this was not shown due to what followed in the coming months. And now we're going to move on to the last entry. The final entry on the American Ninja Warrior Iceberg. The show isn't fair. Now you might be thinking, all of the entries that we just watched lead up to the show isn't fair. But get ready, because I have many reasons why the show is not fair. Let's start with Caden Lebsack. In pretty much every season that he's competed in, Caden's runs have been fast-forwarded for seemingly no reason. Caden is a very entertaining competitor who makes it very far. He made it very far in 13 and 14, and he is very fast. Fastest time on stage 1 in 14. I think the fastest time in 13. Has entertaining runoff races in the semifinals. And yet he still gets fast-forwarded for some reason. Yeah, pretty much nearly every single one of his runs. His stage 1 runs get fast-forwarded a lot. His stage 2 runs, I think his stage 2 run in 14 was fast-forwarded. Obviously, his stage 3 runs are not fast-forwarded in stage 4, but it's ridiculous. Caden Lebsack is the last ninja standing in 13 and 14, and yet he will still get fast-forwarded on a regular basis. This is not fair for him. And showing other competitors over Caden is not really fair and a pretty interesting choice. And the second reason that the show isn't fair, audience testimonies have stated that producers tampered with Team USA's heats during USA vs. the World. Now, I mean, if you look back on USA vs. the World, you would see that Team USA wins a lot, and this is definitely not suspicious. And yeah, audiences behind the scenes have stated that producers have tampered with Team USA's heats so that they would win a lot. They might not have won some USA vs. the World competitions, but they would win a lot of heats and at least make it far so people will want to watch. And another reason is that people are being left out and let in even though they cleared or didn't clear. An example for someone who cleared but was eliminated was Andrew Lose, which I mentioned earlier. If he had attempted stage 2, he probably would have failed it, but still, it's kind of dumb that he was not let into stage 2 after clearing stage 1. And then Brent Stephenson, which I mentioned earlier, I want to mention this. I'm not exactly sure if Brent actually timed out on stage 2. It's just hearsay, but assuming that he didn't, it's not fair for the competitors that didn't clear that Brent would make it, but I mean, it doesn't really change that much. So yeah, that's it. That's the entry. The show isn't fair. Goodbye. Well, not goodbye. I still have the outro to do. But yeah. And with that, the American Ninja Warrior Iceberg has been finished. Thank you so much for watching, and subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. This project started last year, September 2023, and I never thought I was going to finish this video. Never. Because I kept losing motivation to finish it. But just a couple days ago, before I'm recording this, I persuaded myself to work on it again, and I was able to finish it, which is very awesome, and 30 minutes in, which is crazy. Longest video yet. So yeah, thank you to the following people who helped out with the research for this video, starting with Casey DeVitti for creating the base iceberg that I based my iceberg off of, and helping me out with most of the other topics. Also, Ryder Liankel for being another major source for research and providing video clips for those unused obstacles. And also, I'd like to thank Jules Sparks and Flodos for also helping out with the research on some small sections. So yeah, thanks again for watching the video, and I'll see you all next time.